Today's question comes from Matt P. And Matt asks, what is the difference between thoughts and feelings? So Matt, this is a great question because so many people misuse, misdefine, misinterpret, and get everything mixed up with what is thought versus what is feeling. For example, we may say, I feel like they're a wonderful person. We can't feel like someone is a wonderful person. We can think that they're a wonderful person. We can believe that they're a wonderful person, but wonderful person is not a feeling. What we feel when we are around them or think of them could be the feeling of joy, contentment, trust, excitement, or even relief. And based on those feelings, we can form a hypothesis about that person. So in this example, we had the feelings first, which created the thoughts or our impression of them. But we can also create feelings from thoughts. For example, we may think of a future event that hasn't happened yet and how it may unfold in our mind. And based on that thought or narrative that we create, we are also creating a feeling around that situation. So let's talk about where all this happens in the brain. Because our thoughts happen in a different place from our feelings. Our thoughts happen in the cortex of the brain, and our feelings happen in the limbic system, which if you were to cut the brain in half, it's in the inner center of the brain. And this is also the area of the brain where memories are stored. But all areas of the brain and nervous system communicate with one another simultaneously. But when we're talking specifically about thoughts and feelings and how that works, we are primarily talking about the frontal lobe, the part of the cortex that is thinking and problem solving, and then the limbic system, which is primarily responsible for emotions and memory. And then another important part of how we feel is our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system. So if we're feeling really excited, or if we're feeling afraid, then it activates the sympathetic nervous system. If we're feeling sad, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So our thoughts, our feelings, and our sensory input all work together to create this experience. Put simply, our thoughts can be influenced by our feelings, and our feelings can be influenced by our thoughts. And that's it. So thanks for listening to this week's episode of Q&A with Brittney-Nichole. If you have a question that you would like answered on an upcoming podcast episode, please send your questions to the number listed in the show notes and be sure to read the guidelines. Tomorrow, we'll be discussing parenting with emotional intelligence, and I hope you'll join me. But until then, live and lead with an open heart and an open mind.